Adam Silver says he's had enough. At All-Star Weekend, he said tanking is worse than it's been in years. Is it really? What does it mean for the Wiz? Danny Rouhier helps us answer these questions today on Locked On Wizards.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
DC family, you are locked on to the Washington Wizards, where you're part of our family. Thank you for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every single day. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team free and available every single day. We thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network in the nation. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Yes, that's right, the NBA Finals. Alongside the DC sports content creating savant Abdullah Ayubi, I'm Ben Strober, and I cover the Washington Wizards for Roundtable.io. And joining us today, one half of the Grant and Danny Show, Danny Rouhier. Weekdays, 2 to 6:30 on 106.7 The Fan in the district. Danny, you had the day off today. How was it?
It didn't feel like a day off, I'll tell you that. We were trying to schedule this thing. I was talking to you guys off air. My children are undefeated, is what I will say. We did a lot of things. There were birthday parties involved. There was a bowling alley. There was an indoor soccer game. There were appetizers somehow. It was a hell of a day. But yes, we got it done, man.
So when you're off, Danny, you're not really off, huh?
It's not off, no. I tell you what, work is much easier. Just shooting the bull with Grant, that's easy. Wrangling 3 different children with dramatically different needs is way harder.
On today's show, we talk a little bit about Adam Silver's comments at NBA All-Star Weekend, saying he's ready to start cracking down on the tanking that he finds so egregious in the NBA. We get a little, not mid-season, we're past that point at this point, check in here with Danny because it's been a while since we've talked to him. And then we talk a little bit about some of his favorite college prospects that the Wizards should be looking at here. All right, Dan, I know you and Grant have talked ad nauseum about this over the past couple of weeks. You're like, let the Wizards build this juggernaut in peace. They've been doing things the right way for a couple of years now, but Adam Silver, he seems a little bit disgruntled. He fined the Jazz $500,000, the Pacers $100,000 last week, and at All-Star Weekend, when he addressed the media, he said they're looking to possibly take some measures in the future to prevent this from happening anymore. He says he feels like it's worse than it's been in years past in terms of teams tanking. Do you see it this way, or is he kind of just living in the moment, maybe a prisoner of the moment right now, or do you see it this way?
Yeah, I got a lot to say on this. So is tanking, quote unquote, worse now than ever? I suppose if we're scoring it that way, but he can pound sand with this. What you're trying, it's a slippery slope here. What you're trying to get at is the quote unquote integrity of the game being affected, right? So the NBA is worried about the integrity of the game. Okay, that's what we're very concerned about here. When a team that's prioritizing the future sits a player in the fourth quarter, you're worried about the integrity of the game. I noticed you still partnered with any kind of a gambling house where we've already had point shaving incidents where guys are telling their buddies to bet the under, pulling up with a bum ankle, and leaving the game. Tim Donaghy still referees or he doesn't referee in the NBA, but his good buddy that he texted hundreds of times a day does. To me, a group that's worried about the quote integrity of the game because a team is prioritizing future games over the one that somebody might be at, it's insulting my intelligence, quite frankly. When Kawhi Leonard, who rightfully, by the way, should take days off, he's often beat up in the way that he plays so hard, he's so effective when he does play, it's worth the price of admission. But when he's sitting second game of a back-to-back, we don't yell about the integrity of the game. When Giannis Antetokounmpo comes to town 1 of 2 times per year, and my good buddy from Milwaukee doesn't get to see him play when he comes to Washington, we're not worried about the integrity of the game. It's somehow worse to sit a player in the fourth quarter than it is to not have him play at all. This is again a slippery slope here. What rule are we talking about? If you can prove that a guy doesn't have a bum ankle or didn't pull up with a little bit of a strained quad or has played too many minutes lately, you're trying to manage something. Again, it's a very slippery slope. It looked obvious, and it was in that moment. So he kind of smacked your hand in the cookie jar a little bit. But again, what precedent are we setting? What are we trying to really worry about here? The real issue at the core of it is basketball has haves and have-nots, and it's distinct. until you can make Sacramento, Portland, and yes, Washington and Memphis and New Orleans, a bunch of places that players don't want to go play on the same playing field level with the guaranteed winners like Boston and LA and New York and some of the places that we're always supposed to care about at all times. Until you can do that, I don't know how you do that or how you enforce that, by the way, but until you force a star, you must go play in Charlotte. You must go play in Washington. You must be in New Orleans, enjoy it, bring other players there too, and be competitive for the first time in decades. If that can happen, we won't have these issues. They don't. It's the only path for the Utah Jazz to be any good. This ain't the 80s and 90s with Stockton and Malone. No one will go there. No free agent is like, yep, I can't wait to go play in Utah. Until you fix that, you're going to have this. So you're really looking at the symptom going, I don't like how that's manifesting. Well, you better change some rules then. You better make sure that the next time the superstar is available for trade, he's bellowing and forcing his way to Utah for them to be competitive for the first time, again, since Stockton and Malone. Otherwise, we're going to keep tanking. We're going to keep running into the only way to get one of these super-duper franchise-altering marquee stars is through this process. And even though with some of the restrictions on it, some of the challenges that tanking teams face, because you're in this stupid lottery system where it's now the same chance for a team to jump up like the Spurs did, like teams seem to do every year past the Wizards, by the way, in order to get better picks. It's still worth it than to just hope and pray one of these stars finally picks you in their prime. So until you can fix that, tank away.
Yeah, Danny, I was going to ask you, when it comes to the draft lottery, the idea of it changing, I brought up the fact that, and I know the NFL, comparing the NFL to NBA is comparing apples to oranges, but how would you like that format where the worst record gets the first to roll a big? Because at least in my eyes, you'll get that blue chip talent, and hopefully they won't be in a top 5 pick scenario the next season.
Yeah, I mean, it's, teams will tank harder then. You'll do what's happened before where it'll get worse. So that doesn't fix the problem that Adam Silver's talking about. I'm with that, though. I mean, to me, that's the whole point of a draft, right, is to have a team improve based on the number one pick. You mentioned the NFL, and obviously we do so much of that on our show. I know you guys are a basketball show, but bear with me for a second. The NFL, there is a necessary roster turnover in this ultimate team sport where in Washington, for example, there are 30 free agents on this coming off this terrible season that the Washington 53 just had, right? So you're going to have a brand new roster. Look at the Patriots, look at the Seahawks. The Patriots were 4-13 last year, total roster overhaul with some maturation and a good coach, but they went out and spent in free agency the most in the sport and they made the Super Bowl. That doesn't happen in the NBA unless you get, Rich Paul and a couple of clients to get together in Martha's Vineyard to decide that, the next super team is Toronto or Miami, as the case may be. Excuse me. But unless you get that, it doesn't translate the same way, right? It's in a one player on a basketball court with 5 players at a given time. A star plays 37 to 40 minutes in a meaningful game, impacts the game at both ends, is so dominant. You'll never see that in any other sport. It just doesn't work that way. A pitcher starts once every 5 days. A batter only gets 4 turns at bat. In hockey, dominant players, great players, 20 minutes a night. It's not the same as it is in the NBA where a star has outsized influence.
Danny, the thing that bothers me the most about this, why does it seem like now that it's the Wizards and the Jazz and the Pacers and the Nets that might be the biggest beneficiaries of this process that teams have been taking for decades and decades, which Silver admitted? Where were these conversations? Where was this energy when OKC built its team this way? When Houston built its team this way? When San Antonio got the best prospects?
Trust the process, Ben. It was literally tanking right in front of our eyes, man.
Why is it a problem now? Why do you think the NBA views it as such a problem now?
This is a point, by the way. So I brought this up the other day on the show. That we've been raised in the NBA culture for so many years. Guys that are my age and even a little bit older, and the way that Yankee fans, whom I despise, by the way, I'm sure there's some nice Yankee fans, but most Yankee fans believe in their heart of hearts, they won't admit it, but this is the case. This is the pathology, that the league itself exists to provide them an opportunity to win championships. That's what they think. They think it's their birthright just to be in the World Series every year. And every year that it doesn't happen is mystifying and crazy, and it's bizarre. That's the arrogance. That's the way the NBA has been for so long, is that kind of deal. Whether it's one team or another. But Lakers fans think this way. They have an entitlement to it. Knicks fans, despite the fact they haven't been relevant and really, really good in decades. I know their recent run has been impressive, and I like them this year. I liked them last year too. But you see the point. They haven't been really meaningful since Ewing. And even then, they were cannon fodder for Jordan or the Pistons or somebody else coming out of the East. But they believe the league, that the Kings, the Wizards, the joke teams to them need to stay there. You stay in your place. You don't come up here with us. You don't come up here and compete for our thing. We'll let a team in every now and again. Milwaukee went from nobody cares to pretty cool because they got a star. And now all of a sudden that's fine. They developed a couple homegrown guys. They won a championship. They're there. Portland had a flare up a little while ago, with Dame time. But come on, we all really knew it wasn't a real thing. Sacramento was good when I was a kid, with those unbelievable teams, first with White Chocolate, then with Bibby and Weber and company. But they went back to their place. As long as those teams, we don't get too much of that, teams jumping up above their station is the way I like to think about it, then the league doesn't have a problem with it. When incompetent teams, that's what the Wizards were for a long time. They were not competently run. They were run in a way that kind of kept them in that 9 seed range. And that excited the league very much. They love that. There's no problem. I'll have the teams up there at the top, the real free agents, the top guys. We'll go talk about joining them. KD will demand a trade to one team or another. But as long as the Wizards, the Kings, Memphis Grizzlies, New Orleans, Portland, you can go through the list. As long as they really stay in their place, the league doesn't have a problem with it. But when finally somebody says, you know what, we're actually going to run this smart, like the Jazz are trying to do, like Washington is 100% doing right now, all of a sudden it becomes a problem. People can kiss my ass with that. Apologies for the language here. I know this is a family program, locked on language. I know what you guys are doing, but I'm so irritated by it. Leave me alone. All right. I'm trying to have a 50-win basketball team for the first time in my life. I'm 46 years old. I want a 50-win team. I'm not even talking about championship yet, boys. I want a 50-win basketball team that I can go, that's my team. They're pretty good. I'd like a conference final appearance for the first time in my life. All right. It's my turn. It's been my turn. Let me build it and kiss 100% of my, you know what? There we go. All right. Leave me alone. Spare me the outrage. Spare me the pearl clutching. Screw you. Nobody was bothered when Detroit was hot garbage that a skunk said, you know what? It smells too much. I don't even need to be here. They were disgusting. Best record in the East. You already mentioned OKC. They did it. They did it better than anybody. We stole their architect. He's doing it here now. Everybody pound sand. Back to you.
I feel like you're just kind of letting everything out right now that I've maybe been holding back a long time. But I feel about this situation.
100%, dude. 100%.
Hey, 50-win team. I think that'd be a little ambitious next year, but the Wizards did acquire some pretty good players since the last time we talked. So let's get Danny's thoughts on the current state of the Washington Wizards here post All-Star break when we come back here on Locked On Wizards. You ever wanted to experience the NBA Finals live in person? Of course you have. FanDuel is giving you the chance to turn that dream into reality with their NBA sweepstakes. Here's how it works. Use your profit boost on any NBA future, and you automatically be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for 2. That's right, flights, tickets, the whole 9 yards, the whole experience. If you're already looking at the board and thinking about which team can make a deep run, it's the perfect time to lock it in. I love futures this time of year, whether it's picking a team to win it all or grab a conference title. It adds that extra layer of excitement to every game down the stretch. And now, not only can you pick your cash, it can send you to the finals. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. And we thank you for making Locked On Wizards your first listen today. Thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. If you haven't already, go check out the new Everydayer Club. Be sure to get access to the ad-free, audio-compatible Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get it. Invite to the members-only Locked On Everyday Club Discord server, which includes a group chat just for listeners of Locked On Wizards. Abdullah and I will be hanging out in there. Maybe Danny will pop in there one day. Go to LockedOnWizards.supercast.com or tap the link in the show notes to learn more about it.
Yeah, Danny. So with 29 games left post All-Star break for the Wizards, outside of making sure you bottom out the 4 to keep your draft pick, what are some things Wizards fans should be looking forward to?
To me, it's the continued development of Trae Johnson, right? And then, of course, we'll get to if and when we actually do see, because they're talking about having Anthony Davis and Trae Young play. Very curious about that, how that's going to work. et cetera. Even if it's a game or two, a quarter here and there, some minutes, but really it's to the young players. So I want Trae Johnson on the ball a little bit more. I want to give him some playmaking. I want to see him sink or swim, throw him into the deep end a little bit as his minutes and responsibility increase. I'm excited about Sarr's kind of continued work. I want easier baskets for him. And I think some of that's probably why they were so enticed by Trae Young, who's not the player that he was a couple of years ago, but I'm not the guy I was a couple of years ago. I think it's still fine. He's still very useful in the basketball court, not the lethal, first team all NBA caliber penetrator, but still a guy that can get into the lane, get his offense, really good pick and roll player, a good assist guy, one of the best assist percentages of any player ever to play this game, right behind guys like John Stockton, who's gotten a lot of run on this Locked On Wizards podcast today for some reason, maybe because Utah's at the center of a lot of controversy. Anyway, the point of the story is I like the idea of both of these guys that they've acquired. So curious to see those sorts of things. And then for the other guys, looking here at Bub Carrington, remember the start he had. We talked about this a little bit, I think, last time I joined you guys, where he was not really sure what he was supposed to be doing, it felt like, just outside looking in, right? As a guy that was kind of in between. Am I the backup point guard? Am I coming off the bench? Am I a two? Am I a wing? What am I? What am I supposed to be doing? And he didn't look terribly comfortable. I think we've seen kind of the light switch go on for him here recently, where his job is just to compete. And I know that sounds stupid and cheesy at times, but I think that's it. Him and Bilal, to me, are kind of peas in a pod in that way, where it's like, yeah, sometimes you might initiate the offense. Sometimes it's a fast break. Sometimes it's a rebound. Sometimes it's a contest. Sometimes it's a good hedge on a screen. Whatever it is, be someone that nobody wants to play against. I think he's kind of embraced that a little bit here. I'd like to continue along that, kind of along that track. But to me, it's really about Trae Johnson, his looks, and Sarr down the stretch. And then if and when we see Trae Young and Anthony Davis.
Dan, I'm going to put you on the spot here, but hey, Donald Trump, the Wizards acquired Trae Young and Anthony Davis at the deadline. One of them was kind of before the deadline, the other one actually at the deadline. These guys aren't the same players they once were, for sure. Health is going to be a big caveat in this whole thing, but what are we looking at? Are you a lot more pumped for next year after these additions?
So we're going to talk about, excuse me, so-called Strober, okay? Trae Davis is a terrific power forward guard. He's a power guard. He's 6'12". He's played in Atlanta. He played college in Oklahoma. People don't know that. That's a big state right in the middle. They voted for me, believe me. So they got Trae Davis, and from Anthony Young, they traded for him also. People didn't see them doing that. That was a big deal with the Lakers in Dallas. And then Nico, he's not so good anymore. He got fired because he was not so good smart he got rid of Luka Babic. But anyway, the point is, with all of these Wizards together, this is probably a 104-win team that's on its way to consecutive championships. They're going to win the 22 and 23 championships, believe me.
I was waiting for the China, but that was great, Danny.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I was going to say, Danny, also, when it comes to this Wizards squad, especially these two games coming up, just how important is it to, obviously make sure that you're maximizing development, but also making sure that you don't win those crucial games against teams like Indiana, New Orleans, or other teams in the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, there's no way around that. And it's unpleasant. I know people don't like that. I know there's a lot of old school folks. My dad's this way. He's just like, I just can't get on board with it. I understand it. Because you're trying to teach two different silos of lessons. Compete. Okay, stop competing. You know what I mean? I want you to learn how to win, but don't win these games. You know what I mean? That's a challenge. It's not an easy thing to do. It's a tough tightrope to walk. And they are focused on milestones, and I think they're doing a really good job of this, that are not about winning games. But you saw it. I mean, when they sat guys against Detroit, Will Riley balled out. What's he supposed to do? You know what I mean? Again, it's not as if he bet the under on one of these draft gambling websites and his buddy got rich, which again we have seen. So yeah, it's certainly a challenge. It's a tough tightrope to walk, but I think they'll be able to pull it off. This group at Charge, frankly, is too smart. They're too good at this to squander the opportunity the best they can to have that top 3 pick to try to seal that in. Because again, I think it's so essential in this draft.
Real quick before the break here, Danny, there's a man that's had a near impossible job within this Wizards organization. That's the head coach, Brian Keefe, because he's been tasked with developing the players, but also losing enough that the team gets itself in the right draft position that the front office feels is necessary. How would you assess his tenure as the head coach? Are you looking to see him back next year with this core of players plus Trae Young and Anthony Davis?
This is such a hard question, Strobes. I don't know how to do it, because what we always talk about with sports is, what are the metrics for success, right? This year, again, pick the Nationals. I know it's a Wizard show, but they are not set up to win 100 games. So what are you looking for? What are your milestones?
60.
You're looking within the roster to see some of the different things. I'm seeing the things that I would like to see for the most part. Now, again, I can't get 4 quarters of consistent defensive effort. I can't get good rotations. I can't get a lot of contests. I can't get consistent good shots that don't lead to runouts for the opponent, et cetera. But at the same time, I'm seeing individual development, and that's why I'm here. I'm here to see Alex Sarr continue his staircase towards success. I'm here to see Trae Johnson get more physical, add to his bag, become a more gifted scorer than he already is, right? He's already just put on this earth to put the ball in the basket. I want to see a couple more offense initiating kind of things. Can he play make a little bit? I want to see the growth of the individual players. That's success to me. So is losing these games. I don't know how you assess him as a head coach. I also don't know that if you look up in a couple of years and this group has, God willing, 52 wins and is the 3 seed in the East, is he the guy leading the charge? It's not a criticism of Brian Keefe. I just don't know the answer to that. It's because it's so hard to figure out if this guy can do it at a high level or not, and if he's one of the savants or if he's getting through to these guys. Right now, it feels like the message, such as it is getting through to them. And I know that might burn people's ears because they're not winning games at a very high rate. But again, we're looking at the improvement of individual players. And if that's the mandate, if that's the metric, it seems to me that he's doing a pretty good job of it.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of fans that give him a lot of flack, and when the team was struggling early in the season, like teams with young players do, he was kind of the one people looked at as the reason they were struggling. But I think a lot of people have kind of quieted those concerns about him. So it'll be interesting to see how they handle that going forward. All right, college basketball prospects. It's something we think about all the time on this channel. I know you think about it all the time, Danny. Let's get your thoughts on it when we come back. Hiring just isn't about finding someone willing to take the job. It's about finding the right person with the right background who can actually help your business move forward. And if you want candidates who match what you're looking for, Indeed Sponsored Jobs is the move. Because instead of hoping the right person stumbles across your post, Indeed helps you match with quality candidates by boosting your job listing to the people who fit your specific criteria like skills, certifications, and location. If I were hiring, I wouldn't just want someone who can help. I want someone with real experience who can jump right in. It saves time because you're spending less energy sorting through all the mismatches that don't actually work for your job. And with sponsored jobs, your post gets seen by candidates who actually are fit for you. Here's a stat that says it all. In the minute that I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Tax season doesn't have to take over your life. This year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off and move on with your day. With TurboTax Full Service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert start to finish without the stress or the guesswork. They handle everything from W-2s to self-employed forms, and they work with you to get every deduction. So instead of spending hours trying to figure out forms, you can meet with the local TurboTax expert in person or connect online. You can upload your documents and go about your day, and then get updates right in the TurboTax app. Huge time saver, and it gives you real peace of mind to know that a real expert is helping you out with something so important. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in if a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year. Just do it by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit TurboTax.com/local to book your appointment today.
Here with Danny Rouhier from Grant and Danny on 106.7 The Fan. Danny, this draft class loading up, very talented. The current discourse on Darren Peterson, though, however, is that there are some health concerns. Is he still your number one out of the draft?
He's not, and and I love him. Obviously, any other year, he's the number one still, despite all the things going on. I don't know how to categorize this, guys. There's just something amiss there. It reminds me a little bit of Cade Cunningham a few years ago, who's obviously a star. He's great in Detroit. But you'd watch Oklahoma State play, and you're going, does this guy care whether they win or lose this game at all? Now, he knew he was going to be the number one pick. Maybe he's biding his time. Maybe that's what's going on with Peterson. I don't know. But it always seems to be something going on there. You had that weird Barstool Sports look over the shoulder, the text message thing. I felt like that was so inappropriate that we saw that, but that's not what we're majoring in there. I just don't know. There's enough swirling that it knocks him down a slight peg for me. And again, he's 1A probably. I just love DeBonsa. I love him so much. I think his game translates that much more to the NBA. I think in college you can load up multiple defenders. He can't shake free. I don't think their coaches, any kind of special genius in terms of getting that guy looks in good spots. It's pretty much go play hero ball. I think he is a freak. I think I see a lot of Tracy McGrady when I watch him play at 6'9". It's just smooth. It's graceful. It's effortless, but it's sneaky explosive. I think he is a star in waiting. I think Peterson will be a star too. I see a lot of Dwayne Wade in his game. But to me, I'm the Bonsa 1, Peterson probably 1A, and the idea that Boozer's third. Again, any other class, he's number 1. That kid is splendid, by the way. Doesn't force anything and just go, oh, sorry, I got 20, 10, and 5. I'm just so bored with this game. He's fantastic and fits the modern NBA maybe as well or better than anybody else on this board. But this class is just so awesome. I want in. I wish we had 10 picks.
It's interesting, actually, that you bring up Boozer, how you think he'd be 1 in like the majority of classes, and I 100% agree with you. I feel like there's a population of Wizards fans and then people that kind of have this like so-called free thinker mentality. They're like, Boozer is number 1, and you can't tell me, like, the other guys are the mainstream sexy guys, but Boozer he's number 1 to me. But like, I think there's real merit to the argument. I think he would fit in.
It's not crazy.
Yeah,
no,
like I feel like
he'd
fit in perfectly with this Wizards team. But the question I want to get to you here is based on like all of the top guys you can see going in the top 5 or 6 or whatever. The Wizards are kind of in this situation where like now you have Trae Young and Anthony Davis. Like those guys will be playing there, so you'll have them in your starting lineup. But who could you see out of the guys they taking like solidifying themselves as like a star on this Wizards team the fastest? Because I think some of the other ones would take longer than their, respective draft partners.
Do you mean if they're down the board a little bit and it's like a Kingston Flemings, or if it's an A-Cup? What do you mean?
I kind of like, do you think if you get Peterson, does he mold himself into a star right away? If you get Boozer at 3, because he's playing behind Davis and star, does it take longer for one of those guys to be a star than the other?
I get what you mean. Yeah, the way I viewed this, even after they traded for Young and Davis, my point is their star player for this run that I hope that they start to go on here, maybe starting as soon as next year. I think their best player's a freshman in college this year. Whether he's the best player next year or the best player in a little bit of time, what the Wizards are doing now, yes, it's Anthony Davis, and he can still help you. He's not the same guy he was a couple seasons ago, where he's still an all-NBA caliber player, but he's close. Same kind of deal with Trae Young. These are distressed assets more than they are linchpin stars for a future build, right? This again, the Oklahoma City playbook. This is when you go get Chris Paul and you turn a profit. I think that's kind of what they're doing here. They're going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, be a lot better next year, ready to kind of start going here. And also, if it doesn't work that great, these are movable contracts at this stage of, that's not like you're tied in for 5 years to each one. It's not like some terrible Ernie Grunfeld type deal to Jan Mahimi, which we should never get happen. But it puts them kind of in a win-win-win type situation. But I do think whoever they draft, if they get in that top 3 between Devonta, Peterson, and Boozer, that guy becomes their best player. And maybe the roles will have to shift. I think you just make room. I really do think all 3 of those kids are that good. Now, I may be proven wrong where, somebody shows up on campus and it's like, well, you know what? It's actually, we're better when, Sarr's there and Anthony Davis is playing and Boozer's off the bench. I could be loud wrong about that. I just think these 3 kids are different. I really do. I like Wilson a lot too, as kind of the 4th prospect, but I think there's a tier of 3 and then the next group down, all really good players as well. Again, I love this class, but to me, that top 3 is these guys belong in the NBA. They belong as featured players in the NBA, and everybody else get the hell out of the way.
I'd be doing a disservice, Danny, if I didn't do this, but can I get Charles Barkley to explain why the Washington Wizards will be a playoff team next season?
Okay, because they're not going to have 30 – there's 30 teams in the NBA. They're going to contract – that means you contract them. But they're going to contract 12 of the teams. They're going to be less teams, Ernie. And that means the Wizards are automatically going to be in the postseason. That's what comes after the season. They're going to have a team and a game that after the season ends, they're going to have a new game. Back to you, Kenny.
Amazing.
Thank you for that, Charles. All right, one more before we get out of here. I know you talked a little bit about Kingston Flemings, like Michael Brown, Darius Acuff, some of these guard prospects. If the Wizards, like, God forbid, worst case scenario, fall to 5 or 6.
And Ben, we're Wizards fans. We already know
Yeah, so
We
we
already know, Ben.
I know. Get ready to learn Keen Wogler, whatever it may be.
I like his game too, man.
Which of those guys? Do you have a favorite of any of those guys right now?
It's Wagler. I mean,
Wagler?
again, he looks like a Dawkins kind of player already.
Yeah, he does
Right?
actually.
I mean, he's lanky, limmy. What position does he play? I don't care. He gets buckets. Like you saw him score 46 against Purdue the other night, right? Holy crap, that's a pretty big deal. Again, he's got that preternatural ease putting the ball in the basket. He's got a bag already. He's got every shot that you would want and then some. So the only guy out of that group that I don't, again, I like him fine, but I don't like him here is Acuff. He's kind of that small ball, smaller guard that I think still has a place in the league. But I mean, see Trae Young, but it's kind of not what teams are majoring in now, and I don't think it's what this group wants to major in. I think Flemings is a grown ass man who's got a dark heart, who wants to beat you and then eat you afterwards. Like he wants to kill you. And he feels like a Houston Cougar to me. I love him coming out. Again, I already mentioned Wilson. Brown, I haven't seen as much of, full confession. I haven't watched a ton of Louisville, but obviously he jumps off the page. He's a who's that kind of player. You know what I mean? Like you show up to the arena, you don't know anybody, and you go, who's that guy? You watch him right away, you can see. So I haven't seen him as much as the others, but to me, the only guy I don't love out of that group is Acuff. And again, he's a first-round pick, it's a lottery pick. I'm not sitting here telling you he shouldn't be, but just for here, I don't see him as a Wizards type player right now with how they're building. And he's on the smaller side. I know, 6'3", 185, 190 doesn't sound terribly small to the regular folk, but it's not where the league is trending in terms of some of these power guards and some of the ability to affect and switch on multiple people. So I don't love him as much.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. AB, anything else from you, dude?
I was gonna say, Danny, have you looked into Gilbert's son, Elijah Arenas?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you watch, they're on TV plenty. And I'm old school. I'm an old man, as you guys know. I'm obsessed with Koa Pete, just because I grew up in an era where power forwards were power forwards, and it's one of those things where you watch Arizona play, and I've seen them play USC a couple different times. I think they played USC already. I'm getting my West Coast late night games confused, but I love old school power forwards. I'm going on a Koa Pete tangent. I'm getting somewhere, I promise. But I love Koa Pete so much because it's like I'm not here for your newfangled basketball. I'm here to dominate inside the three-point line like a rich man's David West kind of a thing. So I remember seeing that, and then you've got kind of this, late first round, maybe early second round, reminds you a little bit of Gilbert, maybe a little bit longer, just sort of feels like with his game. But yeah, I don't know that I don't think he's a lottery pick at this stage. Maybe he could play his way into that at this point, but. I'm pretty sure I've got it in my brain. Maybe it's rewired. Maybe it's too much kids. I'm pretty sure I watched Arizona play USC. If I haven't, make fun of me in the comments, and I'm sure that's fine. But I think I saw that game. I came away thinking, yeah, that guy can play.
I think March Madness is going to really turn heads for a lot of these prospects.
You think so? For Arenas too?
I think so, because, again, maybe he could play himself into a late lottery pick. We'll just see, because for me, Danny, when it comes to watching prospects, it's that stage where the lights are the brightest, and we'll just see who balls out.
I'm trying to see what their record is to see where they're 18-7. They look like they probably have a good chance of getting in. So yeah, that's a good point, AB. It's gonna be fun to see like how this all pans out. But I guess like the whole moral of the story of this episode, let the Wizards tank in peace. Danny, I don't know if I've ever heard you get you so fired up about something, but that was excellent. We appreciate you coming on and just venting to us here.
Well, to holster your comments. I looked it up while you guys were talking. They didn't play Arizona. USC hasn't played Arizona. I don't know who the hell I was thinking of that they played, but I got one of those late night game watching sessions in my mind while I'm giving my then 18 or 9-month-old some milk. So bear with me on that one. But I think maybe they played Ohio State or Penn State, one of the Big Ten teams, where I came away thinking, okay, that guy can get buckets and he can play with anybody. But yes, back to your point, Strobes. The point that you made is the essential point to me. You didn't care. You weren't bothered when it was a couple teams here and there. When Detroit did it, when Oklahoma City did it, when as you mentioned, Abdullah, the process actually happened and they didn't get a championship out of it, but they got pretty damn good. They gave Toronto the best run they got on their way to a championship. No one cared. Now that it's my team doing it, now that Utah's doing it, everybody's all up in arms, clutching their pearls. No. You leave me alone.
It's how it feels to me. I think the so-called NBA experts want the Wizards to be bad forever because they'll actually have to do research about them. But when they like you saw Robert Horry, like they're like, hey, the host asked, he said, what do you think about the Wizards show Corey? He's like, they suck. It's the Wizards. Right. Like, they won't be able to do that anymore.
That's been my whole life, man. Enough of that. I've had enough of that. I'm dead serious. And I'm not mad at you. You brought it up. I'm not shooting the messenger. That's what my whole life has been as a fan of this team. That's not just me. I'm not a victim. Everybody who's a Wizards fan. It's been a punchline. I don't want that anymore. And now that we're trying to change that with smart, cohesive, intelligent, three-dimensional chess type management, where we horse traded Bradley Beal and Kyle Kuzma into 10,000 picks, and we're still keeping our own, and we got Trae Young and Anthony Davis, and there's a clear and positive direction. For the first time, it's meaningful. It's not just 40 minutes of Bradley Beal running off 12 screens so we can win 37 games. No. Again, you leave me alone. It's been my turn. I have been through 500 yards of evil, foul-smelling garbage like Andy Dufresne at the end of Shawshank. Let me get my bath and Warden Norton's money at the end of the damn journey. It's my turn for wins and championships to laugh at everybody else. You can that's enough.
I didn't even understand like the two references you made there, but I get your point. I'm fired up for it.
It's popular. That your listeners will know, your viewers will know. That's on you, Strobes. You're 11 years old. You're a prodigy, but watch the movie.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm very apologetic. But Danny, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, man.
All right, that is Danny Rouhier, one half of the Grant Danny Show, 106.7 The Fan. Weekdays, 2 to 6:30. He'll be back in the studio tomorrow with his pal Grant Paulson. That'll do it for us today on the Locked On Wizards podcast. For Danny Rouhier, guest Abdullah Ayubi, my co-host. I'm Ben Strober. Talk to you later, DC family.